Thank you again for spending time with us here on City News. I'm Sam Laprade. Today marks the International Day for the Eradication of Poverty, and people with disabilities continue to struggle to cover those basic needs, whether it be food or housing. I wanted to spend some time today with Rabia Khedr, National Director of Disability Without Poverty. Hello, Rabia.
Hi there.
Thank you so much for your time today. Talk to me a little bit about what it means for people with disabilities to be living in poverty.
Disabled people always lived in poverty historically. We have been marginalized. As the pandemic hit, that poverty deepened for disabled people. Very few of us are lucky and privileged to have found employment and addressed our barriers to employment given our disability experiences and have a livable income. The majority of people with disabilities, 1 in 4, live in deep poverty. That is 40% of the population that lives in poverty or more are disabled people. And over 50% of them, and the number keeps growing, are finding themselves today using food banks.
Mm-hmm. So talk to me about what you're hoping to do and hoping to help in terms of an online tool.
Well, the Canada Disability Benefit Act achieved royal assent this June. We've been fighting since 2020, since the promise was made, for the promise to be realized in the form of a piece of legislation. It's framework legislation, so it does not have all the details needed to get the money to the people who need it most. And the regulatory process has started. The regulatory process, we feel, is not living up to par with the promises made and embedded in the legislation. So we are taking it upon ourselves to undertake a national project reaching grassroots disabled people, diverse voices and viewpoints across the country through an online means and peer-to-peer interviews.
And what's the goal here, Rabia?
The goal is to make sure that the viewpoints and voices of disabled people are incorporated into the regulations process. Regulations are not just the technical backbone of delivering a benefit. There are policies, procedures, and guidelines. There are critical decisions that will be shaped through the regulations in terms of who qualifies, how do they apply, how much will they receive. We have 7 core principles articulated on our website, and we are undertaking a process based on those 7 principles that people can give their input through a report that we will generate and share with government to ensure that lived experience is central to how the benefit gets designed and implemented.
Let me ask you, do you think the average Canadian would be surprised at how Canadians with a disability are living in this country?
I think they are surprised. I don't think they realize how deep-rooted poverty is in our society, because for the most part, it's invisible. People with disabilities are over 22% of the population. I challenge every Canadian out there to look around them and see who's around them with a disability and what their circumstances may be like.
Who needs to hear this conversation between you and I? Who needs to hear this bigger conversation that you're having and what you're trying to do here?
People in positions of power need to hear this conversation. We are continuing our campaign to budget the benefit. We need government to put a dollar figure to this benefit. We need money getting to the people who need it most as quickly as possible. And we need disabled people involved centrally in the process of making some of those critical decisions. We don't want to leave it up to bureaucracy alone, because they don't necessarily have the lived experience of disability poverty.
And Rabia, if somebody was to Google Shape the CDB, would they find this tool?
They should definitely visit our website, our social media. I think they should find it. It's just been put out there today. Disability.ca is our website.
Rabia Khedr joining us today, National Director, Disability Without Poverty. I learned a lot from you today, Rabia. I want to stay in touch, okay?
Absolutely.